Winding resistance tab. One of the most common and important tests of the transformers is the winding resistance test. In this test, the amount of DC resistance or R measurement is calculated by dividing the voltage measured through the binary inputs by the injected currents. To perform this test, first you need to specify the primary or secondary side among HV and LV in side field. Note that if the transformer has 3 windings, TV is added to the 2 mentioned options. Then you need to specify the test time and current in iTest and a state time fields in a state setting section respectively. Since transformers have a big self-inductance and core in the beginning of DC injection, there is a huge difference between the actual current and the specified current, and after some time the actual current is equal to the specified time. This time is entered in the initiated time field. Due to the fluctuation in voltage and DC current, during this time, the measured resistance has a lot of fluctuations. Since resistance measurement must happen in a situation with the least voltage and DC current fluctuations, the maximum allowed fluctuations of the impedance and the shortest time during which the measured impedance needs to fluctuate below the nominal stability, values are specified in nominal stability and stable time fields respectively. The current measurement mode is specified in current measurement mode section, and if the current is below 0.6 amperes, analog input should be selected, while if it is higher than 0.6 amperes, actual current should be selected. The voltage measurement mode is specified in voltage measurement mode. Since the resistance measurement method divides voltage by the current, voltage range of the binary inputs affects the measurement accuracy. Therefore, it is necessary to select one of the inputs of this section for measurement, based on the winding resistance and the maximum resistance specified to each binary input. If the resistance is bigger than the specified range, the device shows an overvoltage error, in which case, you need to either decrease the current or increase the resistance measurement range. Also, if you're facing an error other of the current outputs, you need to decrease the current. The order and the position of the taps of the transformers are specified in Insert Mode and Insert Position section. The mentioned section has already been explained in the video related to the test. Another one of the most important options of the software, which helps a lot in accelerating the test, is Sort Mode. Generally, for tap changer transformers, it is suggested that this option is set at phase. By doing so, it is possible to test all taps of a phase and then go to the next phase. But if tap number is selected, first you need to measure the resistance of all 3 phases and then change the tap. For example, suppose that your transformer has 21 taps. By setting Sort Mode at phase and selecting Insert Rows, you can see that the rows are arranged according to the selected phase, which helps a lot to increase the speed of the test. After creating the table, you need to select the intended row and then adjust the wiring according to the guide picture. Then run the test by pressing Apply Test. Running the test and analyzing the results. To perform this test, for example, the HV side with 3 offload taps and 0.5 amperes of current is tested for all 3 taps. The setting related to time is left at its default, and Sort By is set at phase, and then by pressing Insert Rows, the test table is created. The signal view window is open so that it's possible to view the current changes of the red voltage. To perform the test, the first row is selected. The wiring is adjusted in accordance with the guide picture. Then the first row is selected and test runs by pressing Apply Test. By running the test, the changes of the measured voltage as well as the injected current can be viewed. You can see that by changing the voltage and the current, the value of stability changes as well as the test goes on until these changes reach below 1%. After the time test is finished, the actual voltage and current, stability, and the measured and corrected resistance are inserted in test object. To continue the test, two other rows are selected and the test is applied. Then the wiring is adjusted for the next phase according to the guide picture and 3 rows are selected and the test is applied. After the test is finished, in Plot tab, the curve resistance change in different tabs and phases can be viewed. In the end, by pressing Add to Report, the results are added to the report. Some points about winding resistance test. Since these transformers have a huge self-inductance, injecting DC current causes huge voltage spikes, and the more the injected current, the bigger the created voltage. This voltage causes two problems. The first problem is error over voltage of the inputs of the device. As you know, if the voltage of the input is more than 0.5 seconds bigger than the value specified for it, the device displays an error. Therefore, if the caused voltage spikes have too long durations, the device may display an error. Another problem is the voltage that occurs to the MOSFETs of the device. In case of injecting too big currents, this voltage damages the device. Therefore, we suggest to consider these points while injecting the current.